What's going on, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here with my lovely
Lydia.
Lydia. Are you going by Miss Lydia? I don't like that much.
No.
Miss Lydia is what
Either.
mommy wants to call you because of Miss Marvel. But anyway, and with us today is this lovely lady.
TikTok team?
Tina, you used it.
I did. Omar talked me into it. He was like, "You got to be TikTok Tina."
You gotta be TikTok Tina. That's awesome. Welcome everybody to those joining us live. A little bit later on, we will be giving away a $50 gift card to cheapgraphicnovels.com.
Woohoo.
And speaking of cheapgraphicnovels.com, this segment is brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can get books up to 50% off cover price. Cheapgraphicnovels.com is your home for the cheapest graphic novels, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, omnibuses that you can find online. And you can click a link in the description if you want to see them. Thank you, Lydia. Again, they are sponsoring this episode, and we'll be giving away a $50 gift card sometime a little bit later. But first, we are going to talk about, ladies.
Lumberjanes.
Yay! And
What-
I'll be the old reader in this episode.
That's right. The tables have turned. I am the youngest reader here because I think Lydia read this before I did.
Oh, really?
What's going on? How's everybody? All right, Chris. It's our job to sell Chris on the book. We got you, man. We got you covered. This was actually Maddie's pick, but like I said, Maddie is taking 2 weeks off. She'll be back next Tuesday to kick off our spooktacular readathon on Old
I
Reader,
didn't
New
know
Reader.
that.
You didn't know that. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I had to check with you. But
She's your manager now.
I guess so. She's my PR. But anyway, so Maddie will be back next week. So tonight I'm joined by these two ladies, and we got to sell Chris.
I'm a child.
On this book. I'm a child.
I mean, honestly, though, Lumberjanes is for all ages.
For all ages. Okay. So we are going to go through the first 3 hardcovers, or the first 6 trade paperbacks, or the first 18. Is it? Omar can't do that.
It's
I mean, is that 24 issues? The first
24. I was like, the first 18, that would be the first 2 books.
Yeah. The first 24 issues of Lumberjanes. So let's talk about. Well, by the way, there's going to be spoilers here.
Spoilers.
Thank you. So, Tina, you being the old reader, why don't you take this and run this ship? By the way, this is going to be the cleanest episode of Old Reader, New Reader because
I'm
joined
here.
with my daughter.
Oh, he cusses a lot.
Hey.
She's
Your dad
battling on you.
She wrapped me out like her mother. I can't
So
get
you
pulled
guys-
over by the popo with these women, I swear. Anyway, Tina, what is
Okay.
Lumberjanes about?
So Lumberjanes is your, I wouldn't say standard coming of age. It is about summer camp, but it's not an ordinary summer camp. I mean, not at all. Mythical beast, creatures, and monsters abound with mythical hijinks with a couple of campers, specifically one cabin, which is Roanoke. Which
I
we
know the story of Roanoke.
You do. You want to tell us what? Well, you know the
historical story.
Roanoke.
Okay.
What is it?
Do you know the mythical one?
What's the historical one first?
Anyway, so what happened is that the first settlement, like the British sent, since they found out there's a new world, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is they sent the Roanoke people, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to bring you, food, supplies, stuff that you need to build buildings. But they got delayed because of a war going on. I forgot which war it was, but they couldn't come until 4 years later instead of each, year. So what happened is, okay, they finally came, but they found nothing. There's nothing
settlement
there.
Was gone?
Yeah. And they only found the words Croatoan carved into a tree. And this man said what is sad is that...
This man.
I don't know him at all.
I am his father. So the story is that supposedly nobody really knows about this, is that they either migrated somewhere else, or the settlement was attacked by savages, or the settlement was went with the Native Americans, and they kind of did her own thing. This is Tina's first appearance on Old
It
Reader,
is.
New Reader. Oh, she beat me to it. Okay.
I'm
Yes, yes,
sorry.
it is. This is her first appearance. Lydia refers to her dad as this. No, she doesn't. I'm Poppy. She knows better. She's trying to show off in front of the camera.
At least until the mailman
You
comes.
wait until I take you to school tomorrow. I'm gonna embarrass you in front of the kids. I'll be honking that horn until you give me a kiss in front of all your friends. Anyway, but Lumberjanes, that's kind of where what Tina was saying. This is where the story takes place, in that cabin, the Roanoke cabin, right?
Roanoke cabin.
Now the characters are, let me see if I got this. This is about as much help as I'm gonna be. It's Mal, Molly, April, Joe,
Mhm.
and my favorite, Ripley.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like Ripley too because she
And-
loves kitties.
And technically, I guess you could say they're Counselor Jen.
Well, yeah, they're older, even though she's a teenager. Counselor is Jen, and they all answer to Rosie, who runs the Lumberjanes camp.
Correct.
What is it? Camp.
Look,
Oh, this is one is a long name. It's like I
Miss
guess
Gazelle's blah blah for kids.
something like that. Yeah. Now,
This
being a guy
Quinn
that never went
Pinnacle.
to camp, I was very jealous of. And you know what? Let's talk about the premise. So, Tina, continue.
Okay.
Oh, you've
So
never been on Old Reader, New Reader. You haven't either. I like to interrupt a lot. Sorry.
oh no, you're fine. That's like being a friend with you, and I'm your real life friend. So like, it's nothing. It's nothing. So I'll start with volume 1. This is the easiest one because there's sort of like a chronological story to it. Whereas the other ones, there is some progression of story or some chronological themes that carry through, but they're individual shorts like Adventure Time or like Steven Universe, if you're familiar with those other Boombox comics. So for volume 1, we don't realize, but first it's kind of introducing the characters in the first couple of volumes. So we get to know the characters individual, and we get to realize that the camp's not exactly a normal camp. We start out with 3-eyed werefoxes. I wouldn't even call them werefoxes.
Foxes,
And it says, beware the holy kitten, or the kitten holy.
yeah, I like that one because you should be aware of it.
You should be aware of it, and you find out later, spoilers, that it's an anagram.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? Anagrams are fun. So there's little hidden
Should have
things.
been a cat.
It should have been a cat. It should have been the holy kitten. Which Ripley it gives her a little imagination to. But they ensue in hijinks, basically discovering bit by bit that this is not a traditional summer camp, by meeting weird creatures, falling into traps.
Loch Ness monster.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they don't have the Loch Ness monster in here, but they do have a lot of weird creatures like stone statuaries from Greek mythology. And the very first volume is actually very heavy in Greek mythology because it's a power struggle between two siblings to get power from their dad Zeus. So Apollo and Artemis.
Artemis.
Yep. I knew those characters
You knew those characters?
from Wonder Woman.
Wonder
The
Woman.
real
I know from
mythology.
Greek mythology. My favorite part of this is actually the end. So they're struggling because they have to unravel all these. I'm a lumberjane, and that's okay. I work all night and something all
I
day.
sing that song too. I sang it too, so don't feel bad.
And I wondered, like Rosie is like this. I don't know, lumberjack. I get
built like a lumberjack.
she is definitely built like a lumberjack. She is a
Like, I'm gonna go kill somebody now.
well, and you know who Romy is. Who Rosie is a homage to, don't you, Lydia?
What? I'm gonna hear you.
Do you know who Rosie is an homage to? It's another history or historical fact.
The Jetsons?
No, Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, the lady.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
That was
If
her
you
name,
didn't get
Rosie?
yeah, it's Rosie the Riveter.
Get you too. So somebody came prepared.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
No,
he doesn't know anything at all.
there's a lot of homages in this book that you kind of pick up, especially after you read it a couple of times, there's a lot of little historical facts dropped in, a lot of fantasy and mythos, especially with like native mythology, Greek mythology, Artemis, Apollo.
A lot of comic book pop culture and TV pop culture too.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. So it's kind of a nice little meshmash of modern and history.
Like when Ripley gets thrown by Mal, they do the fastball special.
Yes.
And I immediately was like, okay, Ripley's my favorite character. But anyway,
What did I? Yeah, as soon as I read that, like rereading it, I remembered it, and I was like, oh yeah, there is an homage to X-Men in here with Wolverine. What did I call it? Hot balls special?
Fastballs.
Fastballs. Okay, yeah.
What the heck? Wait a minute now. Rosie's sort of like Dumbledore in that she knows everything that goes on but doesn't intervene. I feel like that's where the story's going to go, because we're talking about volume 1, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to give it my...
There's a cat in your box.
What?
There's a cat in that box.
In this?
Yeah, that box.
Yeah, there's a cat. I have 8 cats.
Yeah.
You'll see
Of
'em.
course they were going to make a cameo.
I mean, my favorite cover is the one with
I
all
like that one
cats.
too.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that's
issue
who she's
15.
named after, Chris. Just saying. Like every time I read it like Ripley from Aliens.
Yeah.
So I had the hardest time getting into the first volume. I'm not gonna lie, and it's one of those things that everybody talked about this series for a long time.
Mhm.
Like people I didn't even know were into this kind of book, and I always saw this cover, and I'm like, man, because I like the hardcover, the way that the hardcover
Yeah.
look. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it has a really aesthetically pleasing image.
It looks like a manual.
And then somebody told me it was a kid's book, and I'm like, perfect. I get to read this with my kid. So a lot of the problem was for me in the first volume, if you've read it and you did not like it, you just kind of get thrown in there. There is no explanation. It's kind of like they're fighting these creatures. There's nothing going on. It's kind of silly at first. And what really, really took me out of the book was the art. I could not
Really?
do the artwork by Brooklyn Allen. And I'll tell you what bothers me the most. The thing that bothers me the most, and it's one of these things, and I don't know if I can even see it, show it here, but it's the noses when they're drawn with the 3 bumps, like to show the nostrils. Well, yeah, like that. The squid. I don't know. It just really throws me off the book. Like as much fun as I'm having, but like I said, the first volume it just kind of throws you in there, and I'm like, man, I really don't like this at all. I don't think it's for me, but I know there have been several times on the show that I made Maddie read books that she didn't want to read. So I'm like, I mean, it's my homework.
I like it.
Hold on. I'm gonna keep reading because my daughter sat down and read it in one day, like all 3 hardcovers in one day.
I read a lot.
She does. She does. She reads more than her old man. So, I will say that I was not digging the artwork. I wasn't digging the story. And I was like, well, maybe this is one of those books that I can just appreciate from afar and completely, understand why people love it and why it's needed and why it's important to some people.
There's a cat again.
Now we get to volume 2. And in volume 2, it starts off with something that I always enjoy, which is a campfire story where all the kids are telling ghost stories, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was cute, and I'm like, okay, this is good. And what happened? There's a guest artist in the first in those issues. What is it that draws it? I want to say it's Brittany Williams. Yeah, Brittany Williams, and then it's Amy Fleck. And I really enjoyed this artwork. It reminded me of like a manga-ish type of American book, like almost like Adam Warren, or I cannot remember the Scott Pilgrim guy a little bit. I cannot remember.
Oh yeah. There's certain pages
Anyway,
that really lend itself to like Scott Pilgrim.
it's simple, but I like it.
Mhm.
But we should look at chapter 5, page 2.
Bottom left. How could you not love that art? Chapter 5, page 2. Larry, I'm going to look at that right now while Tina explains what happens in volume 2 with Lydia.
I want to.
What happens?
Oh, you want to? Okay.
Why don't you take it from here while I
So
look at
basically, what
chapter 5,
happens
page 2.
is in the beginning that they're telling, like, you know, the ghost story is like, oh, this one girl. I don't know what he was doing. Okay, so she's like, oh, this one girl, like, she was like so favored by every single person. But then one day everybody was like, oh, she doesn't exist like that. And she was like so confused. She was like, what happened? So what happened is she actually was dead all along. Yay!
Thank goodness for spoilers.
I'm just trying to find my favorite, well, not my favorite picture, but a picture that I like.
I appreciate little stories like that because you kind of get to know the characters more that way. They're not thrown into a. Thank you, Brian O'Malley. Larry. That's who it was.
Larry!
That's the guy that did Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Girl. Has a very anime-ish look to his artwork. All right, page 2.
Where's the, okay, wait, how do I, there's the picture. There's the picture right there.
The ghost girl?
Yeah. I like how they drew her. It really looks weird.
I actually was not a fan of some of the guest art.
Mhm.
I actually really liked volume 1 art. It didn't bother me at all.
Okay. Well, okay, so let's talk about volume 2. And Larry, you're right, that's a cute picture of April.
Where?
April getting out of bed, all like bedhead, and Joe like
Ariel.
That one? Oh yeah, I like that one.
So, Tina, what happens in volume 2?
All right, so volume 2, besides the little bit of they do take little shorts, or it feels almost like a little bit short, sort of episode by episode, but you get an overall picture of the world, or the expanding world and the mythos of the Lumberjanes. So you now know that there are portals happening. There is sort of like a different realm that this mysterious bear woman, which, spoilers, you find out that she was, like Rosie, a camp leader, or the camp leader before Rosie, I believe.
Yeah, and what was her name? Noelle? No, it was something.
It's like something Noel.
Bear woman.
Bear woman's what they call
Bear
her.
woman.
Or B-dubs is what Molly calls her.
Right. So basically bear woman, because that's usually how she's referred. I don't actually remember her legitimate name.
Yeah, I think it was something like Noel, or at least something similar to that.
Yeah, they do it in a flashback, and you start to get flashbacks from when Rosie was a lumberjane and Bear Woman was the camp leader, and they hint and drop major hints.
Nilly, something like that.
Noelle, Nella,
It's
Nutella.
something like you would call an old woman, even at a young age.
Right. But they start really dropping major hints that the Lumberjanes are essentially being groomed for something. But they're not ready yet. So a bunch of them go to this weird portal realm to try to get back Bear Woman's glasses in one of those little episodes. And they kind of drop more hints that, you know, there's something very serious going on. Nutella, Ella, yep.
No.
And they kind of succeed, and it's more hijinks about getting badges. They're focused on getting badges. They think kind of all this serious stuff is kind of behind them, or at least you get that overall feeling, until the second half of the book, which I believe starts at chapter 13, when we suddenly get hit with a snowstorm, which they have to leave Jen. Rosie saves all the campers and takes them back to a main cabin. Jen gets rescued, however, by another ex-lumberjane, who you find is sort of
Abigail. I like her.
Abigail. And she's kind of cool. She's kind of like a Oh, what's the character in Up that is just trying to shoot and kill everything?
I've only seen Up
The end.
one time. I don't remember.
They find the big bird and he goes to shoot it, and basically she plays.
It's not Up, Tina.
I know. She plays the antagonist Hunter, essentially. So the Lumberjanes are trying to protect the forest, or Rosie's trying to protect the forest and the creatures within, whereas she is trying to hunt them because she blames basically what happened to her, being hurt and expelled from the Lumberjanes on these mythical creatures. Basically, these are threats, whereas Lumberjanes protect these mythical creatures. They can become a threat, but they really mean nobody harm.
This is a good question from Chris, because I was wondering the same thing. He's asking if it's still an ongoing series, and I think it just came to an end, and the 6th volume is going to collect the final parts of it. I think
you're right. So I stopped collecting around the 3rd volume. I need to pick back up because I used to go to a comic shop and pick them all up. So I've got to.
What's a comic?
I know, right? I actually walked into a comic shop and picked these up, and my favorite comic book shop kind of got sold, and then I stopped going.
So volume 6, according to Larry, is going to be the last volume, or it's coming.
It is not an Image comic. So this is Boombox or Boom.
Boombox is like the kids version of, or the kid titles for Boom Studios books. So yeah, this is published by Boom. Same people that did things like Irredeemable or the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Wait a second. So it was actually originally just like a book that you read instead of looked at and like, oh, that's cool, like that.
No, it's a comic.
No, it's always a comic. But you do bring up an interesting point. One of my favorite things is when they start out with the chapters, it is kind of like it opens up to each badge, and kind of gives like a sort of guidebook to kind of a theme of what's going to happen in that.
I like that too.
Comic.
That was one of my favorite things that I liked about each of the chapters was learning about the little badges that they collect. Because my daughter's in Girl Scouts, right? Like, I'm sorry, are you Cub Scout? What are you, Cub Scout? Brownie. I can't keep up. I take them to meetings. That's all I do.
I'm not a Girl Scout anymore.
Oh,
she used to be a Girl Scout.
You were, weren't you?
Yes, I was, but I'm not anymore.
You're a Brownie and then a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout. So.
Okay. I don't know where my point was. I lost track when I realized I was a bad father. That I didn't know she was. Your sister is.
It's okay. And
brain open for comic book knowledge.
Yes.
Larry brought up a very important thing that I forgot. That we're missing the best Roanoke cabin member, which is Bubbles.
Bubbles the raccoon.
Right. I love it when he gets his little sweater.
Randomly appear, like I said. Volume 1 just throws these things at you, like randomly appear, like in, I want to say the 4th or 5th issue. You're like, oh. And it makes sense for the character, like
right. So Molly even like makes fun of the fact because she's like, "Oh, you guys didn't know this was a raccoon the entire time that it was living? Like wasn't it obvious?" So she does poke fun that they kind of drop that in sort of like midway through, and I think that may have been one of those things where they maybe didn't plan on originally, and then they're like, this would be a great idea, let's do this. And Bubbles did capture the flag.
Oh,
that's right. So the difference in volumes 1 and 2 so far that I noticed was there is an overall arc being told about these past members and who Rosie really was and who the bear lady, what was her name again? Nellie. Who Nellie really was back. And what she is now and how she became this bear woman. The main thing was, like, even though there's an overall arc, volume 1 felt like it was, yes, things are thrown in there. You're just thrown in the middle of nowhere into the story. But I think there was, like you said, that arc of Apollo and Artemis, right? Whereas volume 2, it's like 3 little stories. There's some time travel elements too.
Wait, what?
Because with Molly and Mal,
oh yeah,
they get trapped with the bear woman. That's when she started calling her B-Dub, and they go back to the past, to the age of dinosaurs. and then there's the snowstorm.
Right.
There's three story arcs.
I thought the dinosaur world was just another world. I didn't know.
Yeah, it wasn't actually in the past, so it's actually a different realm. And she even makes mention that the time flows differently in this realm.
Oh,
so
that's right.
while
Because they said you guys were only gone for 4 hours, and they were like, "That was the
Right.
longest 4 hours ever." Which takes us to Volume 3.
Volume.
What happened in Volume 3? All I remember.
Wolf Woman.
It's what is her name? And the mermaid. This is the mermaid story. But before
Harlow.
that, though, we get chapter 17, which is it's pretty much the chapter. It's like the origin of how they all met.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Ripley's family is crazy.
Yeah, Ripley's family. I love it. Almost stereotypical. It's like the Latino mixed family.
Yeah.
And so it's got a van full of kids. And Joe's got the 2 dads. Mal takes the cab. Molly is taken by her old dad.
Yeah.
Or
No, that's April.
Molly just kind of shows up and she meets Mal there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I thought, it was pretty sweet. I wish they had started with this, but I get it. Wait till now to show it. And then that story's over and we lead into the Mermaid Saga. And then the Mermaid Saga turns into, what is this lady's name? The wolf lady with the eye patch?
That's Karen.
Okay. So Tina, what was tell us about Volume 3, and then we can give it a score.
Volume 3 is the least arc related volume. It really feels segmented into 3 little sections, like you said. There's sort of the beginning part where it gives more information about the Lumberjanes, their personal, like how they arrived at the camp, kind of gives you insight into their lives outside of the camp. Then it goes into the mermaid, which is a sort of fun April-centric little story where she is obsessed with mermaids. And it's kind of interesting because it does show her childhood room. And if you hadn't caught on in Volume 1 that Joe, she's transgender. She started life as like a boy. It has a picture of them together I guess, transition into her new life. And it kind of talks about friendship. Friendship is to the max is the whole slogan of this group. So it talks about friendship, getting back together, and giving more insight to this world. Which you also find out, I believe it's in this volume, tell me if I'm wrong, that you kind of find out that time is different itself in the camp too. So it's almost like it's its own little separated world.
It's in this volume.
Yeah. So Joe's dads have given her a phone and she calls them and they're like, "Oh, we just dropped you off." But it's been already like a week or so that they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize something's not right at all. The little bit of the end is about Selkies and shape changers. So it talks more about Nellie, the bear woman.
Yep.
Selkies and a werewolf, Karen, the werewolf, which is actually kind of fun. And it kind of goes more into that separate realm with the portals. And it drops a big bomb at the end. Well, not really bomb because they've given hints throughout each volume that there's something going on bigger. They are preparing the Lumberjanes for something else. And you kind of realize that it's probably getting one of them at least to stay and be the next head of the camp to help protect these mythical creatures. And I think Molly's being the one that's sort of more groomed or geared, because at the very end, there is the spyglass. And what's interesting, which I didn't, if I can go back, is Nellie wears those glasses and she can see weird mythical things or magic that no one else can see. But she also has this little spyglass. And so Molly uses it.
This one here?
At the very end. So Molly uses it. They leave it off to the side for Nellie to come back and get. And you can see the last little panel is through that spyglass. And you can see, I guess, auras around each one. And Molly's is the biggest aura of them all. But Nellie had said basically she's not yet ready. So we know there's going to be something exposed or they're going to teach her. And she even offered, she said, you can stay. There will be no secrets. I'll lay it bare if you want to study with me. So she's already saying, yes, we're hiding stuff or we're keeping secrets from you guys. And that's essentially where we end on volume 3.
Okay. So let's talk about all. I guess this is the halfway point for the series. One of the things we haven't done though is giving credit where credit is due. The book is written by Noelle Stevenson,
Right.
And she's got a co-author. I want to say it's Shannon
Waters.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing that correct?
I'm sorry. Okay, so it's Noelle Stevenson and Grace Ellis, and then
Okay, are the writers
are by Brooklyn Allen for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Noelle Stevenson also draws though, so she's got some arcs in here that she did. Shannon Waters did the volume 3 and volume 2.
She's the co-creator too.
Yes, she's credited as co-creator. So, what did you two think of the first 3 volumes? Lydia,
I liked it.
What did you like about it?
I liked the arcs. Really
Speak up.
I liked the art, and you didn't. You're like, oh yeah, it looks ugly.
It doesn't matter what I thought.
Did you like, now Lydia, did you like volume 1 art, or did you like one of the guest artists in volume 2, or like some of the art in 3?
Volume 2 artists.
Volume 2.
The one of the campfire story that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So do you like the main artist? This one here? You like this? It reminds me of, I guess, a little bit of that stylistic look of Cartoon Network cartoons, kind of like Steven Universe or Adventure Time. It has a little look to it, like
the kitten.
But like I said, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. But I love the colors. I think the colors are beautiful. I don't know what it is about the art. It just it puts me off.
Did you prefer volume 3 art?
The artwork in volume 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that, who was the artist on that one? That one was,
for the most part on that one was drawn.
Carrie?
Brooke Allen, and then Carolyn Nowak did 18 through 20, and Carrie Petish. Man, yeah, this is I like this stuff here.
Okay, so
it's definitely cartoony, but it's not stylistic. It's nothing unique about it, right?
Right. So volume 3 is probably my least favorite art. There's less that's unique to it as far as art wise go. I really like volume 1. I like how the art's done. The noses don't bother me. I get what you're saying. They're kind of like weird toes that have been dropped down on the faces. Like the 3 little it's a lazy man's nose. So when you're drawing, it's kind of like you just quickly scribbled, which there's nothing wrong stylistically if that's what you want to do. But I kind of like it. I think it's very sharp, and it's kind of got this, I don't know, sort of quality that I like to it.
Okay. And you like the art as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the story? What did you all think about the story?
I mean, I'm the old reader. I used to pick it up, so I enjoyed it. I wouldn't have kept collecting.
Day one, right? Like, you liked it.
Pretty much, yeah. And what interested me in this is,
what did you like that from issue 1 you were like, oh, this is for me?
The art style. So that's what grabbed my attention, and I picked it up. The second fact why I kept reading and I was more interested, because I kind of heard stuff about it before I went and picked it up, was that it was done for girls by girls. So I was really interested to see what just a girl team could do, and being somebody who was in Girl Scouts, sort of like this quasi like modern day sort of fantasy Girl Scout club. I never went to, well, no, I did go to summer camp. I was a nerd. I went to computer camp.
You went to 4-H camp.
Yep.
Would you have rather gone to a Lumberjane camp? Yeah, because there's mystical creatures,
Yeah, and
fantasy
it's
world,
kitties.
and kitties. Kitties, is that what told it to you? I, there's a lot of comic books out there that have me written it. Like, I love the idea of comic books existing for different types of people and what you need, and that's one of the beauties of this medium is that you can find a book for anybody,
Hmm.
or I'm sorry, anybody can find a book for themselves if they look hard enough. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you care about the characters and as long as you can relate to the characters, then there's a comic book out there for everybody. So this is very popular for the kids. Like, it's huge, and like there's a lot of little girls that read this, and I think it's
Hmm.
wonderful. I also think it's pretty interesting to see that it's got different representation in here. I guess that's why Maddie chose it, because I was surprised to see that in these, because I don't watch cartoons these days, right? I don't watch unless it's anime or something like that, but I don't watch Steven Universe, and you've talked about it on the show
I
before.
watched the movie.
You watched the movie?
Uh-huh. It was on Cartoon Network.
But you said that there's representation in that, and I thought that was pretty cool that they're starting to do that, with kids in mind.
Hmm.
That no matter what, though, like, you can always fit into anything, and that's why I enjoyed X-Men when I was a kid, because
Right.
I felt like I was I didn't speak English, I had a hard time making friends, so I related to the mutants that were outcast, right?
Right.
And now it's like, oh man, this is really cool, because then my little girl can be like, oh, it doesn't matter what anybody looks like or what they like, they fit into this group, and I think that's wonderful. So I completely see who it's for. Hold on, I'm older
How
than
old are
all
you?
three. No, don't. That's rude. Don't ask. Good, Larry. I'm so glad. And Chris, this is true. Comic books and beer, there are tons of varieties. You don't know what that is, and it's gross. You never drink it.
Or anime and beer. That's my favorite.
Out of 10, what would you all rate this 3 volumes? The first 3 volumes. What?
9 out of 10.
9 out of
I know,
10.
that's pretty high. I was going to say 8.
8.
So it is up there for me. And I did used to read X-Men in the past, but this is nice and fun. Like, it's good, clean fun.
It is. And the snowstorm, like, that's when it got me a little bit. Like, at first I wasn't digging the first volume. I'm like, I don't know, I'll push through. But the ghost stories, the snowstorm, there's a deeper story, there's a secret going on. I was like, okay, now I'm interested. What else is gonna happen? Where is this gonna go? So for me, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It was a lot of fun, and in the end, I ended up I read it, and I want to know more. So 9 out of 10 from Larry. Awesome. Good to hear.
Amazing.
I'm happy to see people have read this, and I read it because my kid was really enjoying it. So that's 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, and a 9 out of 10 from the old reader and the new readers. We're the 2 new readers. Okay.
Yeah, it is kind of a countdown. And I think, Omar, why you didn't like Volume 1 so much is they weren't sure that this was going to be an ongoing thing. So they kind of created one story arc to kind of make sure they could wrap it up if it wasn't. And then it looked like it was greenlit and it had the go to continue.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, there's a afterword on Volume 1 where she kind of talks about it. I think it's Volume 1.
I did not get a chance to read it.
Oh, yeah. No. Because it has the pitch of where they did the pitch in the original character designs.
I was moving on from there. Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
Now that we've given our final score, because it is a school night, and we got to move on.
I got to bed at 10:30.
Man, I'm a bad father lets you stay up. Let's give away the gift card.
Oh.
So, Tina.
Yes.
In the chat, let's see who is paying attention. Ask a question. We'll take the first 5 people that answer it correctly and do a random number generator for those 5. And we'll give it away to those. Ask a random question.
Give it to Larry.
You would give it to Larry because he read the book again.
I'm going to ask a hard
question from what we've been talking about. And I said the first 5, so those people that didn't listen to any of us, they can go Google real quick. Google fingers.
Okay, there's a flashback that I had mentioned. In April's room, there is a picture of whom?
They can't Google that. Give them something easier.
Easier? Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
What's
Okay.
the bear lady's name? Like something like that.
Okay, let's see. What is the raccoon's name?
Okay, what is the raccoon's name
That's
in
easy.
Lumberjanes? Shh. There you go. First 5 people will go through a random number generator, and then that person is going to be the winner of the $50 gift card. Jeez, how? How, Matthew? You always do this. You have Google, man. Just use it. All right. First one is Bubbles. That is the correct answer now. Everybody can just copy and paste. Rosie. Okay, so some people were paying attention to names, so that's good.
Right? That was the very, very beginning. And yes, that is a Russian blue back there.
I
can never do that.
Wow, what? What's Russian blue? Is that a type of cat?
Yeah, it's a type of cat.
I already sell it all the time.
Her name is Persephone. It's another Greek god. Lumberjane. The answer's in the chat. Just copy and paste.
I think everybody's thinking that Steve deserves the gift card.
Big hand Steve.
But let's make it a little fair. You know, we'll give other people a chance to
The little
comment.
kitties now.
I love cats. You know what? At this
Me
point,
too.
I'm just gonna take anything.
I love cats too.
I'm just gonna take anything. I'm just gonna put the next 5 people to comment in a random number generator and see who wins. So far, Larry, Matthew, and Chris. There we go. Bubble, I love cats.
I love cats too. They're the best.
I don't think anybody loves cats as much as Tina. TikTok.
I almost said a bad word here, but that's okay.
Ah, Tina.
Tina, this is the cleanest.
I thought it.
Old reader, new reader.
I know. I haven't cussed at all. It's amazing.
I can do it. I have kids. I've watched my mouth for years. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put this number generator. Good luck. Oh,
7 cats.
Chris has 7 cats. Okay.
You're one away from being crazy. There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Okay. So the winner is number 1, who was Larry.
Larry.
Larry did end up winning. Awesome. Good.
Yay.
Larry, email us at nearmintcon@gmail.com with your information, like your email address. I think that's all you need, and then I'll forward it to them. So congratulations, man.
I hit crazy tears ago.
Years.
Tears ago. I think he means years. He did. Chris did.
Well, I cry every time I scoop the cat boxes.
What? You cry?
There's just a lot, man. There's a lot.
You're like, what have I done with my life?
What have I become? I'm a stereotype, man.
15.
Congratulations to Larry. Yes, Larry. Email us. Thank you for watching. I guess that's it, because this little one's got to go to bed. I got to take care of her other sister. Join us next week. We'll be back to our regular old reader, new reader, and starting our spooktacular readathon.
What's that?
We're gonna read scary comics.
Spooky,
I wanna
scary
read
stuff.
No, you're too.
Are you guys gonna do more Junji Ito?
We're gonna do Tomie.
What's
No.
that?
Is nothing you cannot read. Right
No, don't read that, Lydia. Read it.
I'm scared to come to the basement.
Hey, guys.
That's funny.
So, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Larry, don't forget to email us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button. Tina, what else?
If it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.
I will say one thing. The cat got attacked.
I know. 2 of my cats are being bad.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Bye.